Good day, I am Flowny Abanilla, together with my fellow researchers, Monica Aira Gusi and Mary Grace Marianne Nemaria, and we are going to present to you our thesis proposal. Our thesis proposal is entitled Literary Experience and the Literary Competence of Third-Year English Majors at Mindoro State University, Calapan City Campus. So break down our title. Basically, the literary experience is the independent variable and is talking about the exposure of the students to literature on the extent of their attitude, methods of teaching literature, and literary assessment. While the literary competence is the dependent variable, which talks about the students' skills in literary appreciation, grammar, and critical thinking. And the third-year English majors at Mindoro State University, Calapan City Campus refers to the population or the respondents of the study. Let us proceed to the introduction of the study. The role of literature empowers a person's intellect and shapes the historical and present perspective of how people view the world. Thus, literary experience influences students' attitudes, learning, and methods taught. In the Philippines, in the Commission on Higher Education, Memorandum Order No. 75 Series of 2017, under the Policy, Standard, and Guidelines for Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English, the literature study adheres to learning effectiveness under the program where extensive exposure to literary texts should be observed. The literature study is an essential aspect of the curriculum at many institutions worldwide. It helps students build meaningful surroundings occupied with plenty of intriguing characters and rich language interpretation. However, in the Program for International Student Assessment in 2018, the Philippines ranked worst in reading comprehension with 79 countries. It is an enormous impact on building the learner's skills. It implies that the ability of the students to engage in analytical and cognitive thinking, such as comprehending, analyzing, inferring with, inferring meanings explicitly and implicitly, events and thoughts expressed in literary language is not well established. A FIFO 2017 stated the necessity of guidance and acquaintance with the range of literature toward achieving literary competence. It highlights the importance of teacher support, which may also improve their objectivity in observing the students' progress toward general literary competency. Because the students' literary experience is involved in their academic competence to function, the lack of literary experience would affect the extent of the students' competence in literature, as the students critique a literary text and get involved in literature. The researchers would like to conduct the study to determine the relationship between literary experience and the literary competence of third-year English majors at Mindoro State University, Calapan City Campus. The study will promote opportunities for learners' development of creativity, knowledge, and skills toward making sense of the work and fuller appreciation of the diverse relationships between literature and experience. The study will also help the teachers support their basis to construct different strategies for the students to develop their literary competence and provide the complexity and concreteness of literary experience and necessary support for the learners' literary learning processes. For the statement of the problem, this research aims to answer the following questions. What is the extent of literary experience of the student respondents in terms of readers' attitude, methods of teaching literature, and literary assessment? Second, what is the level of the students' literary competence in terms of literary appreciation, grammar, and critical thinking? Third, is there a significant relationship between the extent of literary experience and literary competence of third-year English majors at Mindoro State University, Calapan City Campus? Fourth, based on the findings, what output may be proposed? For the statement of the hypothesis, there is no significant relationship between the extent of literary experience and the literary competence of third-year English majors at Mindoro State University, Calapan City Campus.
This study is anchored on different theories. These include theory of action. In 1937, Tarleton Parsons, an American theorist, established the theory of action for the integration towards the study of social action and social order. The theory of actions is based on the concept of putting ideas together and converting them into actions. In other words, an action serves as a link between thought and exercise. The basic principle of the theory is that success is the result of one's action. The theory engraves a system that allows an action or exercise to be performed. As a result, the actor should be totally invested in whatever action he or she conducts in order to achieve the desired results. In relation to the study, the theory of actions guided the research based on the idea that in order for a student to grasp literary competence, he or she must put their reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills into practice. The theory of actions criticizes the systems and the syllabi that are set in place and the belief that such systems cannot be changed. This action should be considered as a link between the literary experience and the literary competence of Mindoro State University's third-year English majors. As a result, such acts will help the students progress from one stage to the next. The theory of actions was the best fit to the research since it demonstrates that the third-year English major's literary competence are developed through their actions. Constructivism theory. John Dewey was cited as the philosophical founder of constructivism theory. However, researchers use Piaget's viewpoint about the theory of constructivism, which is how the learners communicate about their understanding, feelings, knowledge, and experience to come up with another knowledge or idea. In relation to the study, students create their own meaning through the experience or the varieties of literary pieces they have read, such as novels, poems, or short stories. As they read the literary pieces, a new idea will come up, making the other construct their own piece or create an analysis of what they have read. Their feelings, emotions, understandings, and knowledge are what they will express. The literary competence of one child will depend on how they will perceive such literary texts and how they understand them. Constructivism theory in relation to the study is the student's stepping stone. Reader response theory. Supported by Wolfgang Iser, Louis Rosenblatt led the reader response theory in 1960. It is based on the idea that a literary work takes place in the context of the reader's and text's mutual relationship. According to this theory, the meaning is constructed through a transaction between the reader and the text in a specific context. In connection to the study, the reader is an active agent who gives the word actual life and completes its meaning through interpretation for the reader response theory. Their literary experience, such as writing one literary piece and the literary competence of the readers, was based on the reader's response theory or the way they interpret the text. Reader response theory allows readers to choose different approaches to the text. Readers are forced to delve beyond the text words in pursuit of deeper meanings, wherein the reader's literary experience can be seen. According to them, reader responds to two things. First, in understanding literature, it includes the reader's role. Also, readers do not passively consume the meaning presented to them by an objective literary text. Rather, they actively create the meaning they discover in literature. Dealing with the focus of this research, the aforementioned literatures and studies provide and define literary experience and literary competence. It also presents the relationship and influences of literary experience in the literary competence of the students. Byrne 2013 reiterated that there is similarity between literary experience and cognitive experience, which she claimed that is have high structure. This review supports the idea of researchers in viewing literary experience which can build unique insight and access into the temporal structure of cognition. The author's view enlightened the study to seek for the extent of the literary experience of the learners, where the researchers will come up to find out the underlying effect of the literary experience to the literary competence of the students. Blau 2014 added that literature has the unique ability to transport us into vivid, emotionally affecting and intellectually transforming experiences that are not only possible through our imaginations and without prior experience in literature. It will be vain and alienating for the students. In addition, Rosenblatt 2016 claimed that in literary competence, during literary reading events, the reader is in the process of forming a relationship with the work by putting personal experience, memory, and mood into play. This was also supported by Mangulo Jr. 2018, who narrated that literary competence enables the student to transform language sequences into literary structure and meanings in order for its significance to allow the learners in assessing and recognizing their individual worth. Nauman 2013 defines reading as a complex activity in which readers attempt to interact and come up to understand what they have read. Moreover, Mangulo J. 2018 found out in a study on college students that in terms of literary appreciation and their performance in reading, students have a fair level of literary appreciation skills, but they have a relatively low literary appreciation skills in other areas such as recognitions of the author's point of view, ability to judge the text, recognition of personal philosophy based on the text read, and relating the story to one's own personal life. Stefanova et al. 2018 supported these findings as the study revealed that participating in intrinsically stimulating activities and having frequent opportunities to discuss literary texts and apply them to current events has proven to be quite advantageous. Based on the findings, using intrinsically motivating activities and frequent opportunities to discuss literary texts and relate them to current issues has proven to be extremely beneficial to students, providing them with a more comprehensive perspective that aids them in making appropriate decisions when faced with real-world problems. Furthermore, Ultra Albiach and Bardukoy's study in 2018 highlighted the significance of reading literature, whereas they proposed a study to come up with activities in universities for reading purposes in an effort to promote reading in many ways and build enthusiasm among students in sharing their reading with others. The author's proposed study supports the method of teaching and learning literature as an academic practice that has an impact on people's holistic development and concept of lifelong learning. And it confirms the researchers' belief that it is necessary for the university learners to be encouraged when it comes to reading and developing a love for literature. In relation to this, the findings of Loading et al. 2019 revealed that students' reading of literary texts is strongly linked to their own writing. The necessity of the learner's experience can be viewed as significant for it will bridge their skills toward their performance with literature. In line with this, the investigation of Abdul Wahid 2020 and the literary competence at the university level determined that the level of literary competence among the students was both acceptable and encouraging when it comes to the attitude of the students. In reading literature, the study concluded that different genders relate to different interests as well as the relationship of the literature in degree of the students. Gordon's 2018 revealed this study that literature method is the most commonly utilized teaching approach in direct instruction, while the use of tape recordings to reinforce learning is one of the least popular of the various teaching tactics. In addition to this, Angelan 2021 found out that the use of differentiated instruction is more effective, for it revealed the achievements of the students and literary skills after taking the test compared to the traditional method. In light to the study of literature, the study was supported by Mest's idea on significance of literature, which intends to engage learners in the appreciation and critical study of literature in all its form, including numerous dimensions and genres, as well as its various elements, structures, settings, and traditions. The researchers' aim was given more emphasis through synthesizing the value of skills in literature in the everyday lives and different fields of work and study. The collective studies and literatures are all interconnected because literary experience has a significant influence on the literary competence of the students. Actual framework presents the hypothesis relationship between the extent of literary experience and the student respondents in terms of readers' attitude. methods of teaching literature and literary assessment, and the literary competence in terms of literary appreciation, grammar, and critical thinking of third-year English majors at Mindoro State University, Calapan City campus. The single-headed arrow indicates the relationship between the independent and dependent variables. The box in the bottom part connected to the dependent and independent variables represents the learning packet, which is designed to address the issue being concerned.
Now let's move on to the research methods. This study's quantitative research and descriptive correlational methods will be used to measure the relationship between literary experience and literary competence of third-year English majors of Mindoro State University. The respondents of the study are third-year English major from two different sections enrolled at Mindoro State University during the school year 2021 to 2022. Furthermore, the researchers used a Rousseff sample size calculator to determine the recommended sample size. Based on the result, out of 90 respondents, 74 respondents will be the total sample size to collect relevant data for the study. On the other hand, a simple random sampling technique using fishbowl method was employed to determine the respondents of the study. According to Thomas L. 2020, a simple random sample is a method of selecting individuals randomly from a population with an equal chance of being chosen. Because it involves a simple random selection and only requires a little prior knowledge of the population, it is regarded as one of the easiest of all the probability sampling methods. For the validity and reliability of the test questionnaires, the researchers will use test-retest method. The researchers will use the same instrument twice at different times to assess the connection between the scores of the two tests in the test-retest process. In addition, the major instrument of the study was a self-made questionnaires that consist of three parts. Part 1 consists of 30-item survey questionnaires which will be done through a 4-point scale to describe the mean responses of the extent of literary experience of the students. Part 2 consists of 20 items objective type of test to determine the level of students' literary competence in terms of literary appreciation and grammar. Part 3 consists of 10 items crossword puzzles to determine the level of students' literary competence in terms of critical thinking. On the data gathering procedure, the link of the Google form which covers the questionnaires for Part 1 and Part 2 will be sent on students' vacant hours or free time. For Part 3, which consists of the crossword puzzle items, the file will be sent to the president of the class each section, then he or she will forward the file to their respective group chat. The respondent's answer will be compared to the answer key and the survey questionnaire will be analyzed and discussed among the researchers involved. So that concludes our research presentation. On behalf of my group mates, Ms. Flowny Abanilla and Ms. Mary Grace Marianne Nemaria, we thank you for your time and attention.